Would you eat? No. Have some food for thought. Since knowledge is infinite, it has infinitely fell on me. So, it was a stormy night. You know the kind where the lightning strikes. And I was hanging out with some of my artsy friends. Ooh, the night was long, the night went on. We were going out through the break of dawn. Incense was burning, so I'm feeling right. I picked my friends like I picked my fruit. And Granny told me that when I was only you, I don't walk around trying to be what I'm not. I don't waste my time trying to get what you got. I work at pleasing me, cause I can't please you. And that's why I do what I do. I'm so flash free like a willow tree. Do we? And if you don't wanna be down with me, you don't wanna take from my apple tree. And if you don't wanna be down with me, then you don't wanna pick from my apple tree. And if you don't wanna be down with me, then you don't wanna pick from my apple tree. And if you don't wanna be down with me, you just don't wanna be down. Y'all know that's the jam. Hey guys. Yes. Oh, we are excited to be here for another day. Welcome back to our weekly show, Homeschooling. I and Destiny are here with Homeschooling 2 Live Crew. Back for our 12th episode of Homeschooling. We are so super excited. You guys saw the title of the show this evening. And, as we work through, technical difficulties here and there, you might have somebody dropped off and hop back in, and that's okay. We can keep it rolling and all that good stuff. We have some really awesome stuff for you guys today. So, you guys have been following us. Y'all know how we get down. Y'all know what we do. Every week we have some very insightful and inspirational, motivational, things, to share with families who are like ourselves, who are homeschooling. This is for Black families who are considering homeschooling. Options just like that. As you guys are tuning in, like, subscribe, follow, and share. Let me fix that. Make sure it's not okay. But yeah, so on our YouTube, our Instagram, our Facebook pages, okay. So, guys, we have some dynamic and important guests. Last week, you guys saw us. We got to talk about impact through agriculture. We had the Burns family crew share about indigenous farming. The Indigenous Farming Co-op founded by Mr. Charles Burns, who is the husband of my beautiful co-founder, Destiny Burns. And so, we'll plug their info again at the end of the show for those of you who are in the Nashville or surrounding area who would like to participate in the farming co-op. They got some really awesome things happening, and we have got to, make sure that our children have access to those opportunities. So last week we talked about farming, what happens while the food is still in the ground. So guess what we're going to talk about this week? We are going to be talking about eating and education. What happens when that food comes in the house, from the farm or the grocery store, wherever you get it, okay? Making healthy choices and having healthier habits while you're homeschooling. So what we're going to do today, we're going to introduce you to our featured guests for today's show. We're going to start out with Miss Manifest Prosperity herself, holistic life strategist with a healthy food and snack demo from her children's book called Food is a Rainbow. And then we'll follow that by some advice on healthier food choices while being at home from our expert nutritionist who's also on here with us today. We're going to find out what it takes to create a great day and the foundational building blocks that we receive through the food we eat. And of course, as always, we want to talk to you, the audience, and take some questions from you guys. So you know the drill. Y'all know how we get down. You're going to miss it if you don't write it down. So grab a pen and paper, take notes, or you can pull up the notes on your device
and get ready to dive in. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
So let's see.
And our guests for today both have a dynamic and robust background with holistic living and wellness. They both are experts in their fields, y'all. I mean, first of all, let's talk about the Black Girl Magic real quick. Shout out to the Black Girl Magic on the screens that you see. Um, but they are both experts in their field, and they've turned their passion into healthier families and into business, y'all. Their resume is so extensive that we are going to actually allow them to tell you what they do, right? Because I can't talk for these sisters on the screens right now because their resumes speak for themselves. They are excited to be here, to give and to share some tips and to give insight and to give advice to each of you that's tuning in. So real quick, make sure you share this, start a watch party, let everybody know. As my girl said, you already know that we people on here drop dimes, okay? We're dropping dimes every day. So make sure that you get them. Nutrition is the foundation of what our bodies are made of, and it literally feeds our brains. And we want our children to have an optimal learning experience. And to ensure that it is most helpful for us to make sure that we are feeding their brains and ours, y'all, because we all at home, and our bodies with the kind of fuel. So, y'all, let's give a hope in homeschooling. Let's give actually a hype hope in homeschooling. Welcome to Miss Brandy Lynette and Miss Miara. So let's get started with a few questions. And Deanna, I'm actually going to let you start because, as you know, I'm a mom. I got to get a few things going, but I'm going to let you start and then I'm going to chime in a second.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So, we're going to get started with a little bit of background. Let's get started with, I'm move this a little bit closer, y'all, so I can see. Y'all know I wear glasses. I'm on here trying to be cute and took my glasses off. Now I can't see. But so what we're gonna do is start with Miara. So Miara, if you unmute your mic, what we want to know, I already know you. We've been sister friends in the same circle since really before I even had children. So we've known each other quite a long time because my oldest is 12. So that's like over 12 years. And with Brandy also, I've known her even longer than that. But we'll start with you, Miara, for those who don't know you, like I am blessed to know you. Tell us about yourself. So who are you? Where are you from? Tell us about your background and education professionally.
Well, I grew up in Nashville. I was born up north, but I have a passion for nutrition. So I've studied that for most of my life. It started, my venture into health and wellness started actually after I graduated from high school. And I delved deeper into that after I got married and had children. So it's been over 19 years of studying wellness, nutrition, and alternative medicine. Um, to further pursue my passion, I decided to get a degree, a bachelor's of science in nutrition and dietetics from Lipscomb University. And then I've just continued to build on um, incorporating different healing modalities into my lifestyle. So I'm also a certified Kundalini yoga instruction and meditation instructor. I have studied healing, meridian healing, which is meridian channels flowing through the different body. They correlate with different organs and stimulating those meridian channels, which also are like pressure points in the body. They facilitate healing as well. I've also studied some Reiki and most recently Satnam Rasayan, which is a method of healing as well. That's been practiced for a long time. They're just giving it that name, but it's an ancient form of healing also.
Mm.
But with that, my children, I've always treated them with alternative means. Whenever they've gotten sick, we've had maintained a whole foods diet where I emphasize quality over quantity. So making sure that everything that they consumed ever since they were children was nutrient dense. And like I stated, it's a lifestyle for me, and I completely believe in it. And I've seen the difference that it's made in their health, as well as they've gotten older. They've now graduated from high school and are pursuing post-secondary, studies, but it stays with them. So,
Good. Good. Yes, beautiful. See? All right. And so let's turn it over to Miss Beautiful Brandy Lynette. Hey, so blessed to have you on here with us. And please, I'm gonna ask you the same things that I just asked me, Era. What we're doing is just kind of, some introductions and kind of going to your own bio a little bit more. Tell us about who you are, where you're from, your background, professionally, family dynamics, how many children you have, and your experience you've had as either homeschooling or working with young people. Let me see. I think I can't hear your volume. Can you check your volume, Brandy? Check your volume because you're not muted, but I can't hear you. Okay, not yet. Let's see. Okay, let's try this. Let me see. Let me try to unmute. Okay, say something now. Let's do a test and see if the volume has come back. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah, you're not muted, but I can't hear your volume. Mira, can you hear Brandy?
I can't hear you guys at all.
Okay, now I
Okay.
can hear you. Can you hear us?
You can hear me? Yes, I hear you guys too. I'm having like a
Perfect.
tremendous
Perfect.
amount of technical difficulties over here. Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
You
So
know
I
what
don't
the
know
old
what's trying
folks
to
used to
block this,
say.
but we rebuking that energy tonight. Brandy Lynette speaking this evening.
Girl, let me go over here and get my sage.
All
I
right,
rebuke
so guys, listen, I got two different bundles over there across the room. I can grab either one or both. All right, but seriously, guys, I'm gonna answer all your questions. I have some notes so that I don't miss out on anything that you said. But a little bit about me. Originally, I am from Cincinnati, Ohio. And I've been living here in Nashville for 20 years. I made 20 years in Nashville in August. So I've been here since I was 17 years old. Long story short, I had the first of my two children when I was in undergrad at Tennessee State University. And 16 years later, I found myself having a holistic business. So it all started with my first daughter back in 2003 when I had her. My only aspiration at that time was just to be a great mother who nurtured her family well with holistic foods, healthy foods. I didn't know what that meant, but I wanted to learn. And I just wanted to be just that glue to the family who was just going to make sure all things were well and nurtured. So I studied holistic nutrition in so many different ways. And ultimately, people thought I was crazy because this is back in 2003. We're being a vegan and living a holistic lifestyle, rejecting vaccinations for your children, etc. Like cloth diapering, nursing them, all those things were crazy. So I didn't care. I'm very adamant. Whoever knows me knows I'm very adamant about everything I do. So if my mind is set, that's it. So I stuck to it. Over the years, though, as things began to be more common in quote unquote society, people started looking at me like, "Hey, Brandy, what you over there doing? Like, I need to know what you're doing." And I'm like, I'm finally happy that people want to know what I've been talking about for years. So I'm just happy to give information at this point. But then I got to thinking, like, I'm really, really good at this. If people are going to keep asking me about it, I'm might as well learn what it means to monetize talent in my gift. So your question about children, almost 17 years in many things with my children and with other people.
So yeah, it looks like the audio went out a little bit. So we will give her an opportunity to come back in. While we are waiting on her to come back in, though, Miera, I guess we'll remix it a little bit and go a little bit off the out of the. Oh, let me see. I think she's coming back in now. So
Okay.
hold on just a second. If she comes back in, okay. Here we go. Brandy Brand. Okay, girl. Okay.
Happy.
Right, so unmute you. Mike. Yep. Okay, so yeah, we haven't moved on without you, girl. You can pick up where you left off.
I know. Listen. I got my sisters with me, and I might not know Destiny personally, but you got two of my sisters, literally my sisters, on this thing. So I know that you good people too. I know y'all not gonna leave me out. But I'm gonna just wrap it all up by just saying that that's how I initially met me, Era, and I began to get closer to my friend. As I call her Nabaya, y'all call her D and all that. I know her as Nabaya.
Saying
So
all that.
that's how I got to know those sisters because we were homeschooling our toddlers together, teaching them all the things that we're going to talk to you guys about tonight. So me, Era, and I, we have very similar journeys. I did not complete my master's at Lipscomb. I'm not going to lie to you, but I did attend Lipscomb University. I did a little more than half of the master's degree program for exercise and nutrition science. I've worked at Jerry Baxter Middle School with my Foods and Rainbow curriculum that I literally made myself. I've also worked at Fisk University. I was a guest instructor for holistic nutrition for 2.
Okay. Did it freeze? I think it froze. Did it freeze again? Is
It
it this
did.
thing?
Yeah, we lost her again.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we will. Okay. But yeah, I mean, so very extensive, backgrounds from both of these
Mhm.
queens, these goddesses on here, and let's see, which one did I add? Okay. Um, so we are excited to dive on into this topic, y'all. We got for today. So Brandy. So now, so let me show these people all this little stuff I done got out here. Let me call my son in here. Maru, I got some apples and granola. I got peanut butter. I got some.
What kind of apples did you end up getting?
So I got some pink lady apples, and I got some of the I got some Granny Smiths. But somehow before we got started,
Yes.
those are not
Okay.
what got brought into the house. So what I actually cut up was the Red Delicious that I already had up here. And you can make it with any apple. This recipe is good with any apple, and I'm gonna remake it with the right apples that I bought that did not make it upstairs into the house before it was time to go live. So we're gonna use the apples that was already here. And and yeah, and I got my granola, I got some peanut butter, and I'm gonna call Maru in here. Son, where'd you put the honey? I thought you had. You thought I had it. I sent you in here with the honey. And y'all, this is real life stuff, okay? When you food prepping for kids, y'all gonna have to find who did what with this and that. And so there we go. So okay, so here I have Amaru who just had a birthday on Monday. Labor Day was his birthday. Wave at everybody, son. So Maru just turned 9. I got him on here as my special helper. So okay, he's in his 10th year. He's moving into his 10th year of life, and so we have these ingredients here, and Brandy will tell you some more about that in just a moment. But this recipe, I believe, was actually featured in her children's book that she wrote, her children's curriculum book that she wrote, called "Food is a Rainbow." Yeah. Okay. So that one. Okay. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, so we are ready to jump into this. So Brandy, tell us about what we got going on here. I'll show everybody kind of what we're doing as we're doing it. Got my little bowl, mixing bowl ready with our
So
little
what?
spoon.
Okay.
Apples. I mean all the definitions.
The ingredients, not the definitions.
You said those were
So I'm not sure if y'all can hear me because I'm still having a lot of challenges over here, but it is what it is. But this is a really simple recipe, so I'm gonna try to get it all out before I lose y'all again. You just need 4 ingredients for this recipe. You need apples, diced apples ahead of time. You need peanut butter. If you have a nut allergy or if you can tolerate other ones opposed to versus
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I know how it goes, so I'm gonna kind of talk y'all through it while we waiting on Brandy to jump back in. So you just need some diced up apples, guys. You need some granola. If you don't have like the box granola, if you got some granola bars, you can like break apart into small pieces or something like that. Or if you got a little trail mix you want to put in there. Okay. Yes.
I thought that getting
Okay. Okay, Molly. So let me keep going. Okay. So we using what we have at home because that's what you got to do. You got to look at what you have in your house, in your cabinet. What do you already have? You know, and use what you have to make it be what you need. You've made healthy
Right.
choices, so you have healthy things to choose from, and you can do your own variations
That's
of
right.
this. So we got our granola, we got our chopped apples, we got our peanut butter. Like Brady was saying a minute ago, you can use another type of nut butter of your choice. I'm not sure. She can jump in with a substitute for if you do have a nut allergy and are not able to use the nut butters. Maybe there's another substitute that you can use. And then we got some honey. Honey. I know that y'all do sound. I should have played that one. So yeah, so Brandon, we ready. I finished talking them through the ingredients. We ready to go ahead
all
and put
right,
it together.
cool. Hope y'all can hear me. Okay, so what I love about this recipe is there is no right or wrong way to make it. You literally take each of those 4 ingredients for the apple peanut butter granola mix and you use as much as you would like to your liking. Like it's a personalized dish. So, however much honey, however much granola, apples, you just mix it in. Some people like there's more creamy, some people like there's kind of more coarse. Again, it's totally up to you. You get to decide. But that's the entire recipe. That's the entire instructions. It's really simple. What I love about this recipe is that it's good for fiber, it's good for complete protein. If you understand and know how to build a complete protein by food combining, it's just a really good, healthy snack overall for all of your key vitamins, nutrients, and minerals. So I hope that you guys take an opportunity to make that snack and you let me know what you think about it.
Awesome. We most definitely will. We are over here mixing it together. So we will, we'll chime back in a few moments. Once it's all mixed together, we're going to let the brother man, birthday brother, do his thing over here. A little bit of honey and
Yes.
butter, mix it together. You got the granola and the apples already in there. So he's going to work on this while we keep going. And then we'll stop and check in with him here shortly. But Brandy, while we have you on this particular topic of this book, tell us about this book. What was it that made you write this book, and how can us homeschooling families use that as part of our curriculum?
What I love about this book is I literally did it right before I ever had an opportunity to work with Fisk or any of the other schools. And so this book is amazing because it works for any age group, ages 6 to 13. And you can use it for anyone, though. It doesn't only have to be for children ages 6 to 13 years old. Everyone in the family can use it. It is an interactive book. So I call it a recipe activity book.
So it's full of recipes and different activities like a word search, a word scramble. I have a section there about jokes that you can tell they're like really corny. All my friends know I love corny jokes. They are very, very corny. I'm letting y'all know ahead of time. But it's just an interactive book just to give the kids an opportunity to learn about nutrition in a way that's creative, because that's what I find is typically the issue when it comes to people's lack of knowledge and understanding of the fundamentals of foundation of nutrition. It's because no one makes it fun. So what I have found is make it fun and people will get it. So that's what this entire book is about, and the entire family is definitely going to love it.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, I definitely got to make sure that you know, toward the end that you know, send me the link so I can drop it in the comments so that families can know where to find your information, where to find this book, you know, so that they can, you know, incorporate that into their homeschooling. So our nutritionist expert on the panel, Era. Girl, I got some questions for you, okay?
Okay.
So, you know, as we see, you know, having healthy food choices, it doesn't have to be something that, you know, becomes a combative thing between you and your children about, you know, what snacks you're going to pick and, oh, I don't want to eat that. I only want to eat this. Like they can enjoy it too. Amari's doing a great job over here. You all done with this? Are we ready to show them your finished product? He's got a little finishing touch he wants to put on it before we show it. But you know, he was excited to come over here to do this with me. You know, he is, you know, used to eating healthy. That is how I chose to cultivate them. And some people, you know, everybody's in their different stage of their journey with making healthier food choices and whatnot. So no judgment, but definitely an opportunity for learning something new. So we know, Mia, that the types of foods we eat are the building blocks for everything that our body does, right? So, you know, from a nutritionist standpoint, what types of foods would you consider to be more counterproductive, you know, that are commonly found in a lot of homes, but it's counterproductive to cultivating an optimal learning, you know, experience, and why?
Well, that is a very good question. And it's always that lack of knowledge of what is in our pantries, what's in our refrigerators, that we're not only feeding our families, but we're feeding ourselves, that can have a detrimental effect on our health. So one of the primary things that I emphasize is the simplest things in life are still the best things in life. So your diet does not have to be complex. Make it simple, you know, like that recipe. It has apples in it, granola, peanut butter. We don't have to prepare an extravagant meal to thoroughly nourish our bodies. But what we put in, we want to make sure that it's of the highest quality, because when the quality of our foods is there, then, and it has that nutrient density, then it's going to take less food for us to be satiated. You know, we're going to be fuller, we're going to feel nourished, and it's going to have an impact on learning. So you can't really have one without the other. You can't say, oh, I'm going to have my children learn and they're starving. They don't have the correct components to contribute to their brain functioning at optimum, their immune systems functioning at optimum. So with that said, so there are so many chemicals in food. I recommend that people read the ingredients. One thing that is counterproductive to focus and attention is the artificial colors that are in food. One is the red dye, red number 40. That is actually linked to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. There are some clinical studies out there. And it's so common. I mean, it is so common in all those breakfast cereals that you see. And yogurts, you know, with the colors, birthday icing. I mean, the list goes on. All those things that children love, you know, especially those brightly colored, artificially colored foods that they market the children, have those very things in it that are do not facilitate your child really thriving in a learning environment. So I would say to really focus on looking at the labels, make sure that you're eliminating the artificial colors, you're also reducing the sugar. You know, if your children are full of sugar, it's going to be very difficult for them to sit still and engage in any type of learning activity unless they're running around the house. So other than that, there's so much without going into a whole lot of detail. Like, just keep it simple: fresh fruits and vegetables. I would minimize juice. If you're going to have juice, mix it. You know, mix 4 ounces of juice with like a carbonated non-sweetened water, just to wean them off. I would eliminate Cokes and Pepsis, or reduce that significantly just because of the sugar content. I mean, you know, people will say, "Oh, a serving of juice is a serving of fruit." Well, I don't hold that belief that a serving of some pasteurized juice in a jar does not equate to eating, you know, an apple that has vitamins and minerals in it. It's not pasteurized. It has fiber in it. It's a whole food. So emphasizing whole foods rather than, you know, the juices. Eat an orange rather than eating, you know, drinking some orange juice out of a bottle. You know, just incorporate that as much as you can. I mean, we know that our children love juice. They love juicy juice. They love juice boxes. And if you're going to have your children, like I said, and drink some juice, you know, dilute it with a little water just to minimize that sugar in it. And just to touch on that too, you want to make sure that you're limiting the sugar that you're giving, just because of the impact it has on our immune system. I'm actually going to pull up something and read it. That sugar, that just how, since we're dealing with the COVID during this pandemic, we are all concerned, especially about our babies, you know, who do have to interact to a certain extent with other children, how this is going to impact them. Or is my child going to get the coronavirus? If they do, you know, what can I do to really support my children, support their health, their wellness, so that their immune systems are able to fight off? I mean, we don't want to take for granted that they're young and that, oh yes, their bodies are going to fight it off. We want to actually, you know, support their immune system. So one of the things that we can do, as I stated, is limit sugar. What actually is the case, and when it comes to our white blood cells fighting sugar, and this is without getting too technical, is that our immune system is our first line of defense. And so whenever we eat sugar actually suppresses our immune system. It actually structurally, sugar, let me just go back to this, what I'm going to read. So sugar and vitamin C. Vitamin C is really good for the immune system. It actually has the same chemical structure. And so whenever you eat a lot of sugar, it directly competes with your vitamin C, so that there's less vitamin C that enters your white blood cells. And what this equates to is that your immune system is suppressed for actually several hours as the grams of sugar that you consume increases. So that's one of the things that we as parents can do, is look at that yogurt that your children love to eat. And if you look on it at the ingredients or the nutrition panel, you'll see that there's so much sugar in it. So you can have alternatives, like buy unsweetened yogurt and then sweeten it with fresh fruit. You can put granola in it. You know, there are just ways to sweeten foods without using, you know, white sugar, brown sugar, and things of that nature. Other than that,
I'm gonna pause you real quick because I got a question about that though, and that for me, I get it, but there is also a thought of, what about those families out there who are used to having, you know, more sugary drinks, more processed foods. When you say whole foods, that typically being referred to as that really expensive grocery store that everybody tries to stay away from because they heard that it's gonna be too expensive and they call it whole paycheck.
yeah.
But what about the families who are like, well, I mean, I want my kids to still eat it if I take all this stuff out, and if it doesn't have this in it, if it doesn't have that in it, then what if they think it's nasty and they don't eat it because we don't have time to be wasting no money on no food that people are not even going to be eating in my house. So what are some practical things that you can share? Brandy, chime in if you would like to on this part. But what are some creative ways to really get the family involved with being excited about making these healthy food choices?
I would say, I would say really involving them in making food. I have seen literally children in elementary schools light up when they are assisting with making a fruit bowl and you're introducing them to fruits that they've never eaten. Nature has the sweetest candy. I mean, anything artificial is mimicking what Mother Nature has already grown on Earth. So mango, kiwi, apples. If children are wanting something more sweet, you have dehydrated fruits that they can eat. But you could buy some mango, you could buy some kiwi, you could buy some strawberries, you could buy some pineapple, and you could let your children make a delicious fruit salad. You can mix that with something that they're used to eating, added to oatmeal, added to yogurt, and they will love it. And I will say that they're so impressionable that it's like a painting, like just having this palette and being able to introduce different things to it. When we start to introduce our children to whole foods, fruits, vegetables, contrary to what people believe, they're not going to be, oh, disgusting. I mean, that's learned behavior, I am. So they will naturally, we like sweet, we like salty, let them eat some fruit, let them eat some juicy mango as that mango juice drips down their face, and what child would not like that? It'll be new, but they will learn to appreciate what is natural and what comes from earth. And then you can have some pineapple juice, but guess what? Guess what this pineapple juice comes from? It comes from fresh pineapples. Apple juice comes from fresh apples. And so I'm not saying that you just want to exclude that completely, the things that they love. Is eating well is a journey, and you don't just jump ahead, on this trail. You take little steps to move toward that goal. And so I would say just introducing it and just starting with a few things, that you're buying and incorporating into your diet is going to make a huge difference. Where you're not breaking the budget, because I already know what that's like. I was in school as a widow, a single mother. I had a strict budget, but I found too that whenever I cooked foods and I prepared them from scratch, that lasts much longer than buying some already, some oatmeal in a box. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that oatmeal in a box is fast. You just add some hot water, but you can literally cook a pot of oatmeal and have that left over, So I'm saying that when we take the time to prepare our food, we save money in that way. Also, we're not going out buying all these prepared foods, if your budget is not accommodating that type of lifestyle. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much for those tips. And I just want to remind everybody, we have to do our shameless plugs. If you have questions or comments and we see them rolling in, please make sure you put them in our comment box so that way we can see them and share them, because we do have some. And this is a really important topic for us, y'all, mainly because as Black and brown people, as melanated people, we need to eat the right foods,
Yes.
right? And I think my sister said something that was profound. She said, get your children involved. Like, you guys, the number one way, I think, and even Brandy was talking about it, like for our children, and we have many. One of the things, and in homeschooling, one of the things that you guys could do that literally gets you through almost a whole year, pick a cookbook.
Yes.
Pick a cookbook and as a family or as a unit, cook through the book.
Yes.
Because what you're teaching is reading. You're teaching reading comprehension. You're teaching math. You're teaching the scientific method. You're teaching chemistry. There's so much stuff that you are teaching through culinary. And also take them shopping. Take them to the farmer's market. Take them to the regular grocery market. You can start couponing. All of these things are going to reinforce what the two sisters on this call are talking about. And you can incorporate that into homeschool. We're talking to so many families and they're like, well, what about the math curriculum? What about this curriculum? And I'm like, wait, math curriculum is something we do every day, y'all. How many of us pay our bills?
Real life stuff,
right?
everyday
We all pay
actions,
bills,
yes.
right? We all have to cook. Now, granted, Big Mama didn't use measuring cups, right? But until we get to Big Mama status, we can teach our children how to use a measuring cup, how to read those measurements. And so these sisters are really bringing some knowledge to the table, because we find ourselves scrambling, trying to spend all this money on curriculum when we really don't need to spend it, right? But you brought up a profound point. And guess what, y'all? With coupons, still give you fresh fruits and vegetables. Food stamp, you can still get everything. You can shop at Whole Foods with food stamps, okay? You can shop at Publix with food stamps. You can shop at the turnip truck with food stamps. Everybody takes food stamps.
And you can even go to farmers market.
That's right.
With
and then when you go to a farmers market, you actually see that these are local producers. And so they are growing that produce, they're growing those fruits, and they're bringing them to the market to sell. And one thing that I did with my children is that we visited farms. We went, they would climb the apple tree and get apples. They would pick the blueberries from the blueberry bush. And they would pick some corn. They would see the vegetables growing in the field. And you can also have a small garden too, which we did. And they love helping out. They love digging a little hole, putting seed in it. You can also compost too, your food scraps. I mean, there's so much learning that can take place, whether you're a homeschooling parent or not, that shows that relationship between what we grow and what we eat. And like you said, you're learning chemistry, you're learning math, you're learning science, whenever you're incorporating this type of lifestyle. So it makes a huge difference in their lives, especially when you start seeing like elderberries growing in your garden. I mean, elderberries grow wild. And so when we had a garden, we would go out there and we would pick the elderberries that would grow and we just eat them. The children would go out there, eat fresh broccoli growing from the garden, and it's sweet and it's soft. Unlike, the broccoli that you buy in the grocery store. And it's so simple. It's not something that takes a lot. You literally dig a hole, put your seed in it, water it, and nature does the rest, So, yeah.
But yeah, so real quick, we're gonna pause for a second. We have an eager guy back here who is so anxious to share with you guys the end results of his fun DIY healthy snack project demonstration. And he got his own little beats, that he got to go with it. So okay, all right. So okay, come on, scoot on up and tell the people all about it. Come on, slide up here and show them what you made, son. Well, I mean, I'm just put my chair. You come right here and get in the camera. Show the people what you did. Tell them about it.
Okay, so I made my hands right here. So I made a NutriBullet.
No, it's not NutriBullet. Well, you call it that if you want to.
NutriBullet health food for people. So I mixed sweet and salty almond granola bars, just natural cream peanut butter, honey, trail mix, and
Yeah, this trail mix has got
and
almonds.
apple and peanut butter.
Yeah, you already said peanut butter.
And like I think it will taste really good. And is it okay if I heat up popcorn?
If you heat up some popcorn. I told him to wait before he pops his popcorn because it's gonna be loud in the background. So you have to wait, Amaru, but you can enjoy your healthy NutriBullet snack. We gotta find out what Brandy calls this in her food is a rainbow book, but Amaru has dubbed it the NutriBullet.
I like it.
Snack for people.
Because some smoothies are healthy.
Yep, smoothies are healthy. Yep.
Now, I wanted to touch on too what you were saying. We're being on a budget. One of the most economical things you can do is grow your own food. You don't have to have a whole lot of land to do that. I've really grown, helped women in the projects, literally grow food. I mean, right there with that little piece of land that they got to the left of their door, put a little box there, put some seeds, put container gardening. You can grow food in your house and they eat and enjoy that. I mean, you cannot get cheaper than and more plentiful than what the earth provides. You open that apple, guess what? There's apple seeds. You open that watermelon. How many seeds are in this watermelon?
That's right.
We are so disconnected from it. We don't even think about putting that in some dirt and letting nature do its thing. So it's like we can even do that as a community to support each other. Even within the homeschool community with fall coming up, you can have a fall garden. Each family can grow something, and that could be like a little food swap for the families, and the children will love to help with that.
That's right. Now I have a question. We have a question from our audience. One of our sisters, Latimisia, she said her daughter loves fruit, but she has issues with vegetables. So one, what are some good vegetables for toddlers? And I'm even going to ask, what are some ways that we can hide vegetables in some things? Because that's what I always did. I always just hid. I was like the casserole queen there for a minute. I was like, okay, I know she like potatoes, so I'm gonna slide this broccoli in with these potatoes, and we just gonna call it cheesy broccoli potato mash. So, what are some great things for some vegetables for toddlers and some ways to get toddlers to eat new foods that they may not really have a liking to in the beginning?
Okay, well, I don't know any child who doesn't like pasta. So you can get some spinach, put it in that pasta mix. Okay, those children are going to see that pasta and they're going to see that red tomato sauce. They're not going to notice your spinach in there. Okay, they're not going to notice your wild super greens in there. So that's one way to incorporate it. If you have a blender, you can make smoothies. I made green smoothies. My children were drinking green smoothies all their life. Okay. Did they know they were drinking? Well, I told them they were drinking a green smoothie, but it's got 60% leafy green vegetables, and then it's 40% fruit, and it's sweet and it tastes good. So they would drink it, so these are ways that you can incorporate vegetables into their diet without the child really knowing what they're, eating or drinking. I mean, if a parent has a child who thinks of broccoli, then don't, just present that food, mix it with something. I mean, I will tell you that my nephew was really stubborn and he did not like, his mom said, oh, he doesn't like vegetables. I steamed some broccoli. I literally put a little olive oil on it and some salt. And this child ate that broccoli up. Okay. I know it is not always that simple, but it is not complicated either, In addition to what you said, casseroles, adding it if you're making a bean dish, adding vegetables to your bean dish. I usually do that. If you're even cooking some ground turkey or ground beef, just mixing some vegetables in with that. I would just start to incorporate something green at every meal, Um, like I said, even if it's adding it to the pasta sauce, adding it to whatever chili you're making, bean dish you're making, smoothies, there's just so many ways to really do that. And it's just about getting creative in the kitchen and then just letting them try it without all that conditioning in their minds, because you say the word and there's some children yell, before they even try it. The social conditioning from their peers and from other people that they interact with, but when they taste it, let their taste buds decide, oh well, and then well, guess what? This is what you just ate. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so mhm.
I mean, that's so good because I always laugh. My husband and I, like you go through the gambit of, be a vegetarian, then you're vegan, you're pescatarian, right? You got all this stuff and, to each his own. But I love how you said, like, all you got to do is put a little season. And I always tell people, I'm like, people, when we first started going vegan and vegetarian, people would ask all the time, well, how are you getting your protein, right? And I love to teach children and our family, because think about it, when we go to Thanksgiving, that's some of the hardest times for vegan and vegetarian families, because when you go there, it's just meat, right? It's a lot of meat.
Yeah.
And so, my favorite phrase was always, well, I get my protein where your protein gets its protein. Like you eat, if you think about it, but once again, incorporating that into the homeschool environment, that's teaching people the food chain, right? It's teaching people really about protein and what is protein. Where do you really get calcium versus milk, right? Where do you get those things? And then allowing children to read the labels. Like I always tell my kids, if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't eat it, right? And so there's some things that we can really start to incorporate on just low levels, everyday practical skills. I tell people all the time, the one thing we don't teach in school is practical skills, right? We don't teach them how to sew on a button anymore. We don't teach them how to read the back of the label, how to coupon, how to budget. Those are things every kid needs, but those are things that as homeschoolers, we can teach our children. And when we teach them those things, we're teaching them life skills, right? We're teaching them how to survive. And so I think that is super, super important. And I thank you for saying that. We already have a mom who says she's used to the smoothies, but I need to add more greens. We all need to add more greens, girl. We do. So I thank you so much for those tips.
Too, I know I'm talking a lot.
No,
I have some other things to really support your brain health too, because some children, naturally are active and their minds just want to explore the world, and things that we can do to really support and make sure they're getting those important the important things that's really going to help them focus, really is going to help reduce, inflammation in the body, even for the parents, is that incorporating like omega-3 fatty acids in the diet. If you do eat animal products, you can get this from salmon. It's best to get wild Alaskan salmon because it is wild. It is not farm raised. If you're going to eat tuna, skipjack tuna. These are fish that are skipjack tuna has the least amount of mercury in it. You want to get, pole cod, sardines. These are really high in omega-3 fatty acids. They're really good, not only for your immune system, but again, for your brain health, for your focus. And there have been studies which shows that correlation with having those omega-3 fatty acids in your diet. Now, if you are a vegetarian, the fish actually get those omega-3s from seafood. There's an algae that the fish eat that's high in the DHA and EPA. And when they eat that, of course, they incorporate it, and then we eat the fish when we get it. But if you don't want the fish, then you can just get that supplement, that DHA supplement, to get it that way. You can also include sea vegetables in your diet. That's another story. I eat seaweed.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Like the seaweed
you know,
and
there's
stuff,
things like
like the seaweed
purslane.
stick.
Purslane grows wild.
Mhm.
You know, you can Google it. That grows wild. That has omega 3s in it. There's chia seeds. You know, one thing that you can do is put chia seeds in your smoothies. You can put chia seeds in your oatmeal. You can put chia seeds in your yogurt, and that is not only is it good a source of fiber, but it also is a good source of omega 3 fatty acids. You can also incorporate flax seeds. You know, like I will grind flax seeds up with a coffee bean grinder. You can substitute that for eggs. You can put that in, you know, fruit smoothies and stuff like that. You know, use it as a thickener when you're baking some muffins. Throw some flax seeds in there. Make some pancakes. Throw some flax seeds in there. You know, ground flax seeds. As a matter of fact, when my children were growing up, in my blender, I would I had a Vitamix, but I would put my apples in the blender and I would put flaxseed, ground flaxseed in there. I would blend it up. I would add cinnamon, and I'm telling you, they would gobble that up. All right, I mean, just.
Mhm.
But you know that applesauce, and even if you're not making the applesauce fresh, you can buy the applesauce, add the ground flaxseed to it, and then they're getting those omega 3s in it. You can add it to oatmeal, anything. They won't be able to taste it. You know, and that's really healthy for them. Um, and back to other sources of omega 3s is, you know, if you're eating eggs, you want to eat pastured eggs, you know, where the chickens in their natural environment will run around on the grass. They'll eat bugs, they'll eat insects, you know, they'll eat all sorts of veggies, you know, little grass and things like that. And that increases the omega fats in those eggs, you know, those eggs. And you know, so if you can, I mean, that's another way. There are local farmers who, the Amish, you know, other sources, you know what, they have.
Wait a minute, we got it. Wait a minute, real quick. Since we're talking about where you can get you some fresh farm, you know, I'm
Go
gonna
ahead,
let
Jessica.
you
I
do
might
it.
have some chickens, you know. I mean, I'm shameless plug, you know. First
Ain't no shame. Ain't no
in
shame.
Davidson County, and I have to tell people this because as Black farmers, as a aspiring, and we're learning to farm, right? We have my husband and I. We have indigenous farms, but it's many families, so it's not just us. I don't want to claim that. So if anybody's seeing this, it's not just us, right? It's many families, in the Nashville area. And what I will say is that raising chickens, raising your own food, it makes you just understand more. It makes you appreciate. And in Nashville, you can live in the city limits and have, I think it's up to 5 backyard chickens.
Yeah, something like that. 5%.
You can have your own eggs. Don't go to the store and get brown eggs for $5 when you can have your own eggs. You know, and I'll hook you up with the chickens, okay? And so you know, and you don't even have to have an expensive coop. And I tell people this because I think for so long as a people, we have counted ourselves out. One, slavery did a number on us, right? Because we're growing food and just because we're raising chickens doesn't make us slaves. It doesn't put us in service, right? And so one, it's about renewing our mind. But two, I think it's important. My husband's always been into farming. His grandfather was into farming. I was not, right? But my grandmother farmed. She had a garden for years. And so I think when we talk about sustainability, everybody knows that in Nashville, we had a tornado. How many people in the tornado lost all their food, y'all? Everything. Because electricity was off, I think, for some people, for almost 2 weeks. And so if you look at that, imagine if these people would have known how to can.
That's right.
A garden in their backyard and know how to ferment. If they knew how to do those things, we wouldn't have had the I'm not saying there would have been a need, right? But we would have had the skills. And we don't have we knew then that we didn't have those skills. And I think there was, hey, son. Hi, mommy's on a live. Okay. I think he was like jamming, y'all. I think that we have to remember that those are skills that they're in us, right? One of our guests on another show said she believes that we're magic, right? We're superhumans is what she calls we're superhumans because we come from people who have endured so much. So that is a part of our DNA.
We just have to tap back into it. And I will say also, start researching. I think you brought up a great point. There are some foods that are allowed in this country, y'all, that are banned in other countries. And let's just leave that right there. Like, there are some foods that you can't eat in France. Yellow 5, red 40, like the sister was talking about. They're banned in other countries, and they're allowed in ours.
That's right.
And a lot of them are the foods that we find in our food deserts. If you don't know what a food desert is, it's when it's mostly in Black and brown communities, sometimes in rural communities, where they don't have adequate fresh food, i.e., you live in a place, and I'll give you a prime example because I talk about it all the time. We used to have some children that I visited that lived over kind of in JC Napier, JCUC. They used to have a CB Foods. CB Foods, one, when they had it, it had a very interesting smell on the inside. The fresh fruits and vegetables weren't fresh. And so when you went in there, they didn't have a high selection in comparison to some other communities in Nashville. And I always tell people, you've arrived when you get a Publix, right? When you get a Publix, that's how you know, like, oh yeah, we've arrived. If you don't have a Publix, and nothing against Kroger because I shop there, but you can start to see the equities and the disparities in our community when it comes to fresh fruits and vegetables. So we're talking about this, but we know, y'all, we're not saying we're high and mighty. We understand that it's hard for you to go to your local corner store, which some of our communities only have corner stores, and it's hard for you to buy fresh fruits and vegetables. But as my sister said, you can live in the projects, and you can have a container and put you some dirt in there and some seeds, and you can have some greens. And so those are some things that we really want to touch on, because one, you can teach your child, you can teach yourself, but know that in homeschooling, there's such an opportunity to get back to the original way of doing things. And we have to remember that and cultivate that. And guess what, y'all? We're a village. If you don't know how to grow it, somebody knows how to grow it. If you don't know how to do it, somebody in this village, in this homeschool community, knows how to do it. And so don't get discouraged, because we can go down a rabbit hole talking about the foods that they pump into Black and brown communities, how it makes us infertile, how it makes us not, our brain cells, thinking about Mountain Dew, those sugary drinks, thinking about even sometimes the types of foods that are offered in our public schools in comparison to other countries. When you talk about other countries and the things that they offer children in schools versus what we offer our children in schools, there's a drastic difference in the types and the qualities of food. Again, we got to deal with what we have. But when your child is at home, you don't have to worry about that, And so just thinking about some of those things. So, I mean, health is very important. Health is wealth. If you take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, start to teach your children that. And before you know it, we'll have a whole different generation in 10, 20 years, y'all, of people who were homeschooled. They know how to grow food. They know how to can. They know how to raise, chicken. Shameless plug again. They know how to do all of these things. And so literally, I mean, I encourage you guys, if y'all need help, reach out. You got 4 sisters on this call and a plethora of other people who are doing it. So, reach out and let us know, and we can definitely help you guys set up some containers. Y'all can get a part, get in on this co-op we're doing with the land that we have, and start to learn and grow.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of shameless plugs and reaching out, since we are, and it seemed like it went so quick, but we are at the end, of our segment for today. Hey King. You said Auntie hi, boo. But anyway, I love me some him, honey, y'all. That's my baby. But so we're at the end of our segment. Thank you so much, Brandy, for all of that what you shared with us, the recipe that you gave us. We'll circle back around in just a moment. We'll go ahead and start with Mi'era. Mi'era, if you want to go ahead and let people know where to find you, how to find you, what kind of things that you have available for the community, and how they can get in touch with you.
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm Marcella Mi'era on Facebook. I'm also have an alias, Lewis Waters. I'm on Instagram as Marcella Mira. You can also email me if you have questions you want to go a little deeper about, some of what we discussed, nutrition. If you're interested in, yoga, meditation, different energy work, you can email me, marcella.mira1011@gmail.com. And, I'll just, yeah, so I'm here as a service to the community because I know we all need this information. I mean, it's not what we know that hurts us, it's what we don't know. And when it comes to nutrition and diet, we can't feel as if we're at the end of our rope and we don't have any knowledge of what to do, with our children, with ourselves. And we want to eliminate that perception, that void, and fill it. That's what I'm here for. That's what Brandy's here for. And that's what, Deanna, Nabaya, and sorry, I like completely blocking your name now. That's what
Okay.
yeah, that's what you're here. Yeah, we're here to really support each other, and that's what it's all about. We cannot wait for the government to help us out because we support jobs. You know what I mean? We're here for each other. So just contact me. I'm a resource. I am glad, more than happy to share everything that over the years is in my head. I could talk for another 2 hours on it. So anyway, thank you. I appreciate you having me, and let me know if I can be of any service in the future.
Yep, and I posted Brandy Lynette's sharing it here in the comments, so you can find her on Facebook. Manifest Brandy Lynette. She is a holistic life strategist, a nutrition consultant and coach. She also at one point was doing some very high in demand meal prepping services. She might beat me up because I don't know if she's still doing that, and I just put her out there that she be making really good food for people. But when you contact her, she'll let you know if that'll be something, if she'll be willing to serve in a prep capacity or more so in a coaching and consulting capacity to assist you with that. And so, yeah, I mean, just all the way around, like both of you ladies have really added that other layer. Because I mean, to expect our children to absorb and retain information, but we're feeding them things that kind of have their brains and all this stuff, And so it's like in some cases and in some ways that's going to kind of be happening anyway because they're children. Okay, but we, could also not, accelerate that, right? We can do things to help it balance out a little bit more. And I mean, it's just great just for us to be healthier, period. Anyway. So Destiny, if you want to once again, shameless plug, let them know how to get in touch with the Indigenous Farming Co-op.
So just hit me up, slide in our DMs, y'all. Hope and Homeschooling. If you slide in our DMs, we will definitely get you connected. We are in the process of germinating seeds for fall because we do have a little bit of time. There's a lot of cold plants, but I tell everybody seasonal, regional. Don't come looking for strawberries in December because we don't live in a place where strawberries in December are indigenous. So that's what we're growing. We're trying to tell people. I also want to make sure that we take a pause for the calls. And as we always do, we do this every Wednesday. So if you guys have a topic that you want shared, if you guys want to be on the show as a guest speaker, I just dropped the link in our chat box. So make sure that you complete that link because it's coming up. We've got some really great things. I told you guys pretty soon we're going to have our moms panel. Parents, we're going to call it a parent panel because I feel like there may be some dads who slide through. But it's time to have a conversation. Most of our school years have started. So now, what do you need help with? What don't you need help with? What are some things that you're struggling with? Do you just need a boost and some confidence? Do you need to hear other moms say, hey, I can do this too, or you can do this? So we're definitely going to make sure that is available. And as always, if you ever need to get in touch with us, the Hope and Homeschooling 2 Live crew, you can always, one, slide in our DMs. We say that a lot. But you can also hit us up on Instagram. As you see, the ticker at the bottom has us at Hope and Homeschooling. You can get in our DMs there. Beauty, Life, Love, Arts is Deanna, aka Nabaya, like we all know her here. Mine is at Mommy Burnsinger, just how it sounds, manager but Burnsinger, because I manage all the Burnses. Okay. And you can email us at hopeinhomeschooling@gmail.com. Again, that's hopeinhomeschooling@gmail.com. We have dropped everything in our chat. Ladies, I'm thankful to
Brandy,
y'all.
did you want to chime back in real quick since you're here?
Yes.
Yeah, we just giving out contact information and how people can find you. I slick mentioned that you did meal prep in the past. I don't know if you currently still do, but
You're on me. Yeah.
I used to. I retired. Don't ask me.
I said she probably gonna get me, but I told them to find out. You'll let them know what you don't do no more.
Woo! No. Okay, but y'all I have something special for y'all. I guess I'm gonna have to do a separate video and just tag Hope and Homeschooling so y'all can get my offer, but I don't want it to cut off. But just find me at I'm Brandy Lynette all across social media. I like Igloo, M like Mary, Brandy Lynette, all across social media. That's it.
Okay, all right. I'm dropping that in the chat now. Whoop, whoop. So we had another great one, y'all. This is beautiful. Go back. I hope y'all were taking notes. If you didn't, once again, you know how to reach us directly to get what you missed. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All my beautiful sisters. Okay, all these afros and locks on here. Y'all make me feel good. In the number. So, all right, guys. Y'all have a great evening. We love you, and we will see you next week.
All right. Bye.
Peace. Peace.